You have a couple of things to unpack with this question, and it's not a bad question. I mean, it's a legitimate question. So the first thing, let's kind of go in reverse. The robots and AI that are supposedly going to take everything over. You have to kind of understand something here. AI and robots, those are sort of the globalist billionaire words for just cheap labor from some other country. That's all it is. It's very few of these people solve any problems. Problem solving is very difficult. It actually takes a tremendous amount of effort to solve a problem. To move a problem, however, that's very profitable. Okay, that's extremely profitable. So it's like whenever people say, oh, well, the robots, there's usually nobody explaining, okay, who is building these robots and where is their power source coming from? Who is mining all this lithium, right, to make these, like, you understand what I'm saying? And you notice that, again, we all notice the quality of everything is becoming extremely disposable, right? I mean, even houses are becoming basically borderline disposable at this point. There is no reason to think that the robots will be anything other than just disposable toys, that just eventually they run out of usefulness and 5 grand, 10 grand in the trash, buy another one. Excuse me, finance another one, you know, with your credit card, or finance another one with this special loan from one of these lending institutions that only wants 29% interest or something. I mean, like, it's just another layer of consumerism. It's just layer upon layer of just endless consumerist type behavior as opposed to being productive. So that's the first part I want to address. But as far as like UBI is just a bailout, and I've covered this a few times, but you ask a legit question, so I'll answer it. UBI is just a bailout for bankers, brokers, boomers, the stock market, etc. That's all that is. It's just because they know where all that money, you know, like, yeah, we're going to give the people a bunch of money, and all those people are going to do. It's not enough money to pay anything off, right? It's just enough money that you could maybe pay some rent or something, rather than have the market collapse like it's supposed to in a normal economy. You would have the markets collapse because your rents went too high. You paid too much money for these properties, rent seekers. I'm talking to specifically rent seekers and boomers and what have you, that have paid too much money for these properties, and now you need to lose money on it, right? Because you overpaid. You paid too much money, and I have been warning of this for years. You can go back to, I don't mean you specifically, but anybody can go back to my old body of work, and you will see that I have been warning of this for years, that you are paying too much money. You are allowing all of this to be propped up too high, and you're going beyond incomes, right? Incomes are not keeping up with this. So the idea of, okay, well, let's introduce UBI. UBI will only be for the good slaves. UBI will not be for slaves who have an opinion that is anything other than approved by whatever corporate, banking, or government oligarch is in charge at the time, because they all tend to sort of rotate power. It seems right now Elon Musk seems to be the one who has all the power for for this week. Next week it'll be Trump, and then the week after that it'll be Jay Powell. And like, these people all basically share the same fucking brain, because they're all the same fucking people. If you want to call them people, I suppose. I mean, I hate to dehumanize humanoid type existence, but like, I mean, do I call it like I see it? And the scam is kind of getting really old, and a lot of people are starting to see through it. So, not to get too far afield on that, but I mean, like, but yeah, UBI is just a bailout for all these institutions and people who have paid too much money for something, and who need to keep the illusion of wealth going. So I'll give you an example of the stock market, right? All of the people out there, let me zing quite a few of you Luigi fans out there. I'm indifferent to the whole Luigi thing, frankly, but let me just call out some hypocrisy. If you have a 401k, you probably own stock in a lot of these companies, and you want the companies to be profitable. There's only one way for healthcare companies to be profitable. There is only one, and that is for them to bring in more money than they pay out. That's it. That's where profit comes from. That's the only place it comes from. It comes from nowhere else. is because if you had the opposite, if you had less money coming in than you had going out correspondingly, then your company is going to go bankrupt very quickly, and your 401k is going to feel it. Okay, so I mean, and again, I mean, I call it out on all sides on this one. I say this as someone who has no exposure to the equities market, the securities market. I have no exposure to that, and it doesn't make me better. It just means that I understand what I'm seeing, right? And I've understood this stuff for many years, and I have been telling people for many years that this is coming, right? This is on the way, and it's time to, this is kind of nut up or shut up, right? It's kind of the where it is. So but yeah, as far as any of this stuff, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a bailout for this so that way prices don't have to collapse, and they should collapse. They absolutely should. So, but as far as the AI and the robots and everything, the reason you're going to see all this unemployment and all this other, oh, they replaced this group and that group, and they're firing all these people, it's to import a bunch of cheap labor. That's reality. And then when that finally runs out, and it will, then they'll figure something else out, and then it'll be all your fault. The media spin, it's already warming up. They're already kind of gearing you up to hear this, that it's somehow all your fault. You did all of this. And it's not true. What happened was the currency failed because it got turned into a Ponzi scheme years ago, and now it's worthless. And so when men work for particularly American men, when we talk to American men, actually my Western men, okay, my English-speaking men that are out there that are westernized or that are of the West, if you want to say that. Just look at it that way. Regardless of skin color. Men, generally speaking, that are westernized don't like to do pointless jobs just for the sake of doing a job, right? That's not really the point of doing a job. The point of doing a job is that it's something that actually means something and is somewhat important, kind of, right? And you could say well, but it's not important to be a plumber. Bullshit. Plumbers have saved more lives on this planet than any 1,000 doctors combined. You have but to look at the country that everybody is in the news right now and look at its sanitary conditions to pretty much prove that. Yeah. Truck drivers, everything comes by a truck. And I don't say that as a truck driver myself, because I am a truck driver myself, but I mean, I'm just saying dude, you understand that if in fact, this is for real, if in fact every truck in this country, in the US, stopped rolling for 3 days, this country's fucked. On a level that you can't even imagine. And that's just 3 days, let alone 3 weeks. 3 weeks, you damn near have cannibalism. It will be that bad, okay? I strongly encourage it personally, just so that to remind everybody, kind of who runs Bartertown, okay? It's the people who do all the work. By the way, if you ever go back and you watch Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, don't watch it for the movie aspect. Watch it in the sense of what that represents, because that movie's actually extremely brilliant. There's a reason why Gibson did it. There's a reason why they were able to pull that off the way that they did. It's actually probably one of the most brilliant films that came out of the 80s. It's probably at least in the top 50 of brilliant films because of what it's actually explaining. What you're seeing, it goes in subconsciously, but it's there. Okay, it's the people doing all of the shit work, literally the shit work in that movie, and it's shown is that they're literally doing shit work and powering everything. Yeah, I mean, and it's actually legitimately creating electricity, right? So the people who, so the electricians, for example, who say, that's it, I'm done creating electricity for you guys, I'm done with all of it. Humanity basically devolves into complete and total chaos very quickly. So, not to belabor any of this, but there you go.